All right, so I want to welcome you guys to yet another episode of FDL Presents the Zach Rocheleau podcast, and we are in Salt Lake City, Utah, with somebody just so special, and I'm so excited. This is actually the first in-person interview we've been able to do, and we have a treat. So I'm with the amazing Brooke Ence. And I want to thank you for coming over and coming on the podcast.
Well, thank you for flying into Salt Lake for 24 hours to hang out with me.
Seriously, that's what we do. That's what we do for you guys.
That's what he does.
Yeah, so we fly out of here and then we head to Georgia to hang out with somebody else that's kind of cool. And you guys will probably be seeing them on the next episode of the podcast. But I am so stoked to have Brooke on the podcast because she's somebody that I admire not only for her energy, but her work ethic, and she is just a overall amazing quality of a human being, and her purpose is, it's amazing, and she is somebody that puts out good vibes on a daily basis, works her tail off, and she values the heck out of everybody's attention, and wants to just help, and it's very, very obvious. So I just wanted to start before we even started this podcast and just say that I appreciate you, and I know this interview is going to be amazing. So we live in a world of social media to where there's no such thing as a business card anymore. We have pretty much our business card called Instagram.
Yeah.
And when somebody asks you, well, what do you do? And more times than not nowadays, we point them at our Instagram page.
Yeah.
And it's a glorified business portfolio. And so if somebody would have never known who you were, they were stumbling across Instagram, or they see me plug you, they're like, oh, Brooke Ence, like, I wonder who that is. She's hanging out with Zach. Like, what would they see when they went to your page? Like, why would I follow you?
Oh, man. Well, you're gonna see a lot of me because it's my page, right? It's a story of my life. You're gonna see me working out. You're gonna see a very strong female who promotes, a positive outlook on life, on someone who promotes loving your body, loving yourself, being vulnerable, not feeling shame, and not allowing people to tell you what to do. And I've always just really pushed to be myself, and sometimes I'll post things or do stuff that I already think, like when I do it, like when I post it, I think there's going to be people that won't like this. As simple as me posting something at Christmas time with my dad, us out shooting. Because that's what we do. I'm a country girl. My dad's a country guy, and we go shooting, and I post that, and I know there's people going to be like, they're going to hate on it, right? But I'm going to stick to who I am, because I'm not doing this. What you're going to see on my social media is I'm not going to post things in order to get a like. I don't post things trying to get likes. And because I've always done it that way, and because I really strive to keep doing it that way, I don't feel like it's a job. And I've heard from some people that do social media, that's their job, man, and it becomes very exhausting. Well, it doesn't become exhausting for me because I'm truly just being myself, and I'm letting you guys decide if you want to follow me or you don't. And if you don't, then don't, and like I'm working my tail off to build business outside of social media because that's not my career. But it is like a business card. It is somewhere where it can be a quick place for someone to really understand a person or see them and see a lot of different pieces of them and be entertained, quick entertainment. And I really promote for women empowerment to stick up for yourself and don't allow people, including fans or people that aren't you, to decide, like, help you make decisions for yourself. I do think on that, though, like, if you're an asshole, like, if you're mean, and someone's like, hey, you should be so mean. Yeah, you probably shouldn't be so mean. Like, listen to those people. But if they're like, hey, I think that if you didn't wear those booty shorts, you didn't, like, show your legs as much, I think that more people would like to follow you. oh, is that what you think? You know, and it seems very funny, but if those tiny little things, like those little decisions that we allow people to make opinions, and they think their opinion is, you know, very, very valuable. Well, I think women naturally, we automatically will like do what you say, right? If we have someone who says like, oh, that's inappropriate, it's like, oh man, I don't want to be inappropriate. If you're a good person and you live a life to be happy and to make other people happy, and you don't want to offend people, but you do stick to who you are, and you're not hurting anyone, and you live a great life, don't let people make decisions for you. And that's, like, I think that is a big voice that I have through my social media. And because of that, I get the most amazing direct messages. And a lot of you, if you do follow me, and some people, every message is like, I don't know if you're going to read this. I read them. I just can't respond to all of you. I can't tell you the last time I got like an inappropriate message. I get the most positive, amazing messages from men, women, young girls, teen kids, just incredible messages. And it's that right there has been a huge, it's very gratifying knowing that what I'm doing is right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes you don't know, but you try to stick to yourself, and you hope it's working, or you hope that you can be a positive force for people. And
yeah, you go off intuition. That's the biggest thing. Does it feel right? And like the biggest thing that I talk about a lot is like your intentions. So like if my intuition is, I think this would provide value, or is something that I'm about, and my intentions are pure in the sense of like I'm not doing anything out of spite, then I think that's the green light. And what's going to happen is it's not a job. It's a job if you're forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do.
Yes.
It's a lifestyle if you're just sharing what you normally do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing with social is there's so many people turning it into a job, and thus what happens when somebody finds the real version of them, or they get burnt out. And that's the big thing, is they put on a facade. And I think the people that actually flourish are the ones that just maintain the integrity of who they are. They just continue to put out and reaffirm who they are as a person. And it's super fascinating. So I kind of want to move on to, like, you hammered on the point of like being who you are and being true to yourself. And if you do get that one person who wants to tell you that you're wrong, or that wants to troll you, or that wants to bring you down, we live in a world where, and especially with women, because women are those, like, they want to take care of people. Like, it's in your DNA. And that one person says that, instead of focusing on the 300 or 400 that say amazing things about you, we focus on the one person that had to focus on the negative. Instead of focusing on the hundreds of positive things, they want to focus on the one negative. How do you, I already know the answer, but I just kind of want to hear where you can go with this, is how do you deal with that just from an internal perspective? Like, obviously it's not giving them too much of the light of day, but like it's I kind of want to see what's going through your head.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different sometimes, you know, and that could even just be like maybe at that day when I read something nasty, I'm also really exhausted, I'm maybe slightly overtrained, and I'm very emotional, or maybe, you know, it's the time of the month and I'm a female, or my hormones are kind of crazy, right? They're sometimes I handle it extremely well. Most times I handle it extremely well. Sometimes I still want to first either like reach the phone and like slap them in the face, or just like face smush them, right? Or I want to maybe cry a little bit, but that's a lot more rare, and that's because the last couple of years I've been through a lot, and I've grown up a lot, and I'm so much more secure with who I am and what I'm doing, you know. But I sometimes, well, okay, I'll give you an example. I like to be kind of funny on my social with people that say mean things. Like, I had a guy one time comment, and he said, I don't remember which photo it was on, but he said something about taking all the Anavar. All right, Anavar is a steroid. And so I commented back and I said, oh, I think you meant caviar. And yeah, me and Gina will definitely put caviar in our next cooking episode. And this dude comments back, and he basically laughed at me and said that was the most amazing response. And he said, good luck with everything. Like, majority of the time, man, these trolls, like, sometimes I've commented back to people, even this like a year ago, like when it first started happening, and then they would apologize and say, I didn't know you actually ran your own social media. I'm like, I'm not like a celebrity. Like, I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like, I do run my own social, you know, and then they'll just apologize for what they said. Nowadays, I really don't get too much. Usually it's like some steroid comment. It's always a profile that has no profile picture. They're got private. Like, you know, it's private or whatever. And what's really great is I've got awesome people, and they attack, man.
Oh, it's unreal. Yeah.
I've actually had some close friends that have like just given me shit on purpose. Like they've like trolled me on purpose, and my people attack, like claws out, and it's so good.
Well, that's when you know you've done it the right way. Like if somebody tries to troll you in the comments, you don't even have to say anything. Before you know it, you have your tribe, which is really cool. Like I love to think of it as a tribe, and it's so cool to see them just like they have an emotional response because they know your intentions are pure. They know that a troll saying that about you actually does kind of hurt you because it's taken out of context. It's not something that is warranted for what has been done, and it's so cool. And with everybody listening to this, it's the biggest thing is you attract what you put out. And so if you're constantly negative and you're talking about the negative all the time, you're going to attract people. You're going to build a tribe of people that want to put out negative things. And you're going to have a tribe of negativity. But if you're somebody like Brooke, who's gone, and I'll have her cover her story, but has gone through a lot of ups and downs to get where she is today, a lot of traumatic experiences, well, and you shine a positive light from those, what you're going to do is be an inspiration, and you're going to build a tribe of people who want to change their lives as well, or have a positive mission to actually change this world. And I think this is a perfect time to segue into your story. So I'm a huge proponent. Like I love hearing about from the day you were born up until this point, and in such a short period. But I believe there's a lot of times where we have moments early on in our childhood, and then mid-childhood, early teenage years, and then a little bit later, where we went through a few experiences that we do not forget, that shape the way we see the world today. And I just kind of want you, just like, you can talk for 3 to 5 minutes, just kind of talking about like where you were born, what sports you played growing up, the role your parents played. Kind
of cliff notes, but elaborate on some
and I might chime in a little bit for you to go a little bit deeper on some things.
All right, people. A long time ago, I was born in 1989 in St. George, Utah, and I'm the youngest of 4. I have 2 very strong parents, strong physically. I mean, literally in every sense of the word. And it's so great because when people meet my parents, they're like, I get it.
It makes sense, right?
And when they see my mom, they're like, holy shit, look at her arms. I'm like, I know. See, people?
Genetics.
Oh, wait, my mom's probably on steroids, too. Oh, wait, my sister's probably on steroids, too.
She ate a lot of caviar.
My grandma. You guys should see my grandma. I grew up. I sang and danced. I swam in the swim team. I did gymnastics. I played softball. Played soccer when I was really young, but I just wasn't. I was like the little girl that, when you didn't have the ball, I was picking flowers, dancing around, and then when the ball came, though, I was vicious, man. We just kicked the shit out of everyone's shins. Everyone played soccer. Do you guys play soccer? Is that the thing? Okay. And I was in it for the orange slices.
At the end, yeah.
Orange slices and Capri Suns. Those were my jam.
Oh, Capri Sun. I mean, that's like a soccer staple.
Squeeze it?
Oh, that's a good one.
Squeeze it?
I know this. I know. Well, like I remember my mom used to always bring Capri Suns and oatmeal cream pies. So like everybody loved her. Like,
yeah, those are so good. So I played a lot of sports. I wanted to do everything. I remember one year for my birthday, my dad got me a birthday card that when you opened it, it sang you a song. And it sang the song, I Want It All. And that was it. I mean, my parents got me everywhere. Me and all my siblings. All of them played sports. And my mom took us everywhere. She had her own business. My dad had his own business. My mom played sports growing up.
What did they do?
Okay, business-wise?
Mm-hmm.
So my dad owns a construction company. It's called Ence Homes in St. George, Utah. It's the best. They are very highly rated, and he's really good at what he does. Him and his brothers bought the company from their dad, and they just celebrated 60 years of that company. So they bought it from their dad, and they kept it going. So, and then my mom, she owned her own bagel store. So she's a phenomenal cook, and she ended up selling that, and she's a full-time mom. Now she's a full-time grandma, and yeah, and she caters weddings and does all kinds of stuff. She used to be, it runs in her family. My grandma was the same way. They'd make pies, and any holiday they were making pies, sugar cookies, and family members, friends, and then other people would put in orders. And at my grandma's house around the holidays was just a full bake shop constantly. And I remember we'd be going to my grandma's around like Christmas time or Easter, anytime really. It's like, we're going to Frost. Mom, where are you going? I'm going to Frost. And that's what it was. You're frosting cookies. And my grandma would pull them all out of the freezer, and we would frost them, and they'd go out on trays to people that had ordered these. And yeah, I mean, my whole life I've had women that are they're just boss. My grandma was a boss. My grandpa died when I was really young. My aunt was a boss. My mom. People used to always joke that the type of the family that my dad comes from and the family my mom comes from, they never should have had children. And you just because of how they are personality wise, very big personalities, very independent, in charge. And you meet me and my siblings, we're all a little bit different, but we're all very similar too.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, you guys have taken on that mentality of your parents, that go-getter mentality.
And his hard work. And my dad, he ran a feed mill before he owned the construction company. Yeah.
That's so
hard
cool.
working.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not a surprise. I think you guys have realized with I mean, this is gonna be, I think, over episode 20. So far, every single person that we've interviewed, I mean, from an early age, they set these habits, and they were, I mean, obviously they were blessed to be in the positions they were with great parents. Some of them didn't. But it's not a surprise, and if you didn't have the greatest of childhood, you can use that as an opportunity to see hey, I wish mine looked like this, and so then you can create a new generation of being able to be that, set the tone for your kids to be.
I feel like I want to give you a picture just so you can put a face to little me.
Oh my gosh, you can definitely see. Oh my gosh.
Look at that hair.
We'll definitely.
Here's another one. They're even better. Oh, here's a good one.
So if you guys are listening, I mean, if you guys could see these pictures, oh my gosh, it's literally mini Brooke.
Mini me and wearing all denim.
Wow.
Full denim.
Swagged out. Swagged out.
Yeah, my mom knew what's up. I have great photos from when I was so little.
And that's all in Utah?
Yeah, that's all in St. George.
Wow, that's super cool. So as you've seen in a lot of the podcasts, is I like to go back to a spot. So for example, actually let's go back through high school. So who was Brooke in high school? Were you Miss Popular? Did you have the great personality that you've had?
Before. So when I was growing up, I was definitely I was teased a lot when I was young. I remember in my neighborhood where I grew up, a lot of the neighbor kids, one of the girls in particular, she was super tomboy, and she's a really good friend of mine, but when she would get with all the boys, they would I was too girly girl to play with them, so they would say, not true. Okay, I wore a dress sometimes, and my mom curled my hair. Into growing up, middle school, I was definitely one of the more popular kids in middle school and in elementary school. And then after sixth grade, we went to a 6th grade center. And so people from a lot of surrounding area, we all came to a new school. And it was kind of scary, right? Because we're going to meet all these kids we didn't know, we haven't known any of them. And we went there, met a ton of friends, and then from there, I should have gone to one high school where all my siblings went, but they changed the boundaries right as I was going into 7th grade. And so all of my friends I grew up with all went to a different high school than me, and I had to go to a different one. So I was going to a whole new school. I didn't know anyone. And so through middle school, I was pretty quiet and kept to myself. I danced full time. So like, that's what I did. And so my extracurricular, that was my life. And I just went to school and got good grades because I had to. That was a rule. If I ever got anything lower than a B, my mother told me I'd be grounded from dance. And so I'd go to school and then I'd leave and all my friends were at dance or on the softball team. Going into high school, I feel like I always kind of felt like I was a little bit of like, not necessarily like the popular or the cute girl in middle school, and a lot of that had to do with like being in a whole new place and not having any friends and having to kind of start from scratch. And in that place, I also got teased a lot in middle school and going into high school, and it was never like really mean, but I always got teased that I had like bigger arms than the boys. I was more muscular than the boys, and I had bigger biceps than the boys. And I would call my mom just crying, and it, she would tell me they're just teasing you because they're jealous.
Mm-hmm.
They're just teasing you because they're jealous. And like, it is hard for me. It was hard for me to be a girl that wanted to be this like, you want to be the popular cute girl, and I think that I was, but because I was teased, I never felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
One of my closest friends, best friend in high school, cheerleader, same personality as me, super outgoing. We did everything together. We were inseparable. And I kind of let her shine always a little bit more than me. It was easy for me when we were together.
Mm-hmm.
She moved away. So going into like my last 2 years of high school, I actually started to notice being noticed like by the boys, and up until this point, I think it's because she was gone.
Yeah, because you were okay.
And I was having to learn to be me, and like get out of my shell, and not just have her to like do it with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so my junior year, senior year was great. I was had a lot of friends, did a lot, but I still spent most of my time at the dance studio. And then I went to college. I went right out of high school. I was accepted into the University of Utah, and I was a modern dance major. I started right into the dance department, and I moved and just kept going. And I think that I was always very outgoing. I've always been very outgoing. I loved performing. I thought I'd be on Broadway. That was my thing. I sang and danced till I was in college, and
I think your social shows this very, very well.
Yes,
very well.
And but I think a lot of things I dealt with growing up, some personal stuff, like just being young and like having my parents fight around me sometimes, or like, being teased, and like, a lot of that type of stuff really did affect me at a deep level that I didn't realize had affected me that much until actually not qualifying for the CrossFit Games in 2016. And a lot of things just like, it's almost like all the stuff that insecurities I thought that I had on my own, obviously on my own, they are insecure for, self-esteem, but little things that I had like thought sometimes, or insecurities that I had, I was always able to be like push them down or ignore them. And I had so much going on, for sure years before making it to the CrossFit Games, and like in college I had insecurities too, and I was a girl, and I had anxiety really bad in college. I am an anxious person. I stress. I want to get things done. I want to, if there's a problem, I want to fix it right now. I tell everyone this. Okay, first day of school, they hand out the syllabus. I was the kid that was like, oh, it's today's first day. Okay, cool. It says here that there's a 20-page paper due at the end of the year, and I'm just like, like I'm already stressed. It's almost like you have forever. You have so long to write that paper, Brooke. We're not even there yet, but I'm already like, oh my God, I'm not going to get it done. Like I'm already stressed about it.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of that person, and moved to California. I kind of thought my whole life was different. It was going to be, it was going to change. I followed this boy to California because my mom told me I had to. She's like, if you've been dating this guy for as long as you've been dating, like, you got to go. So I went, and I was like depressed, and I wasn't dancing, and I wasn't singing, and it's very expensive, and I was working some crappy job, like trying to find a job. And honestly,
what was that job?
Okay, my first job in Santa Cruz was I washed towels at a hair salon.
Wow.
That was
what year was this?
What up? 2012. So 2011, I was living here. I was on the Youve CrossFit team. We qualified second to go to the games, and I got replaced. Which Tommy Hackenbrook has claimed many a times that is his biggest mistake as a coach. Thank you. I thought, because when that happened too, I was like, great, now I'm never going to get to go. It's going to get harder and harder to go every year, and I'm never going to get to go again. And right after that, we moved to California, and I was doing CrossFit but never like super full-time. And even before that, I wasn't doing it super full-time because I was a full-time dance major. Mm-hmm. Like, school took precedent. That's what I was,
What year did you start?
School?
CrossFit.
I found CrossFit in 2009. 2009. But I wasn't doing it. Like, I found it, and right after that, I moved to LA, actually, for dance. And I was dancing out there. And when I moved back the fall of 2009, I think, Youve CrossFit had just opened, and I was one of their first members. Mm-hmm. And I was doing it there, and I was like the strong athlete. Everything that my mother had been telling me I was going to do my entire life wasn't going to happen. And what's so crazy is in 2013, I was spectating. This is not too long after like me hating my life in Santa Cruz and me telling Marston that I was going to move home. Watching the CrossFit Games, it was the first year I went to the CrossFit Games being to spectate, and that was the second year Hacks Pack they won. Yeah. And I spoke to Tommy after, and I was like, hey, I think I want to try and do this. And I mean, I had grown up playing sports. I'm very athletic. My whole family's very athletic. And he looked at me and he goes, you're not going to like it. Because he told me he'd program for me, like he would send me program, and I wanted him to do it because he was the only person that had really been around me for a long time. Like, he knew what kind of athlete I was, he knew what I was good at, and he knew what I wasn't good at. So I knew he was the person to help me start on this road. And he'll tell you that he had nothing to do with me getting better. All he did is just give me stuff to do. And I trained by myself every single day for 2014. So 2014 was my first year ever competing as an individual, and it was my first year going to, competing as an individual and in California. So I was in Northern California. I trained all year by myself. I had no idea how much better I had gotten, because if you guys do CrossFit, it sucks all the time. It's hard every day. Like,
you're a crazy person.
You're crazy.
You're a crazy person.
And so it's hard all the time. And it was hard for me to gauge where I was. I just knew that every time I trained hard. And what that looked like, I let my coach look at my score. And went to regionals, won the first event, and it was awesome. And did that legless rope climb event. I got a no rep, and that ruined my chances of qualifying. I took 6th place, my first time ever competing as an individual athlete. I continued training after that, and just kept training, and just kept. Michael Casu took over my program, kept doing what he said, and trained with some friends that year more. So Tommy Marquez, my really good friend, and Heber Cannon, they were my training buddies. Went to regionals. This year it was all of California. Did not win one event. Won the region. All I did is I committed to having a good attitude. The plan that me and Mike had for every workout, I stuck to that plan the best that I could. I never looked at the leaderboard. And I had nothing to lose. It was my first year, I just didn't have anything to lose. My first year with all of California. My second year competing as an individual. And I realized at that point, pretty good at this.
And then over time, it's just like, that's the biggest thing, is like once you give yourself permission. like you talk about the story of everything, and kind of want to go all the way back to like whenever you were in middle school and high school, and then training for the games. It was all she was always capable, but of doing anything. It was like the capable of being the popular girl in school, capable of being. I think the one constant was she always knew she was really good at dancing, and she gave herself permission that way. But whenever it came to being the popular girl in school, she didn't give herself permission until the person that she thought was actually the popular girl, was gone. And so then you gave yourself permission. And then the same thing with competing and just not worrying about what you can't control, just giving yourself permission. Like, I can be a CrossFit Games athlete. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing what happens. Like, I'm so fascinated by this thing right here, the human brain, because perception is reality. So like our perception is shaped by, so for example, my perception of myself is shaped by honestly how I think Brooke thinks of me, and how I think everybody else perceives me is how I actually perceive myself. So it could be completely opposite. Brooke could think I'm a complete idiot, but if I think Brooke thinks that I'm
the coolest,
and I think that everybody else thinks I'm the coolest, then I'm the coolest, but I'm delusional, but I'm happy. But that's so true though. Like, you have to, like, we could be seen as the coolest person in the world, but if we constantly are telling ourselves and not giving ourselves permission to be that cool person, we'll never realize that reality. And it's truly remarkable. So Brooke, you went to the games in 2015?
Yes.
And then 2016, I remember watching this video of at regionals. Yeah. It was sad.
Yeah, it was
I was
rough.
really like, it was emotional. I'm not like smiling because like it really was, because you could tell Brooke worked so hard. And whenever you're competing at regionals, it is just, I believe regionals, they just throw it at you.
Yeah.
Like it's like the programming for regionals is insane. And what is the exact numbers of, like, so for example, let's recap. I don't think a lot of people do CrossFit or are familiar with CrossFit that much that listen to the podcast, but like we have the Open, which is about to start, which is a nationwide.
Yeah, worldwide.
Worldwide, my fault.
Yeah, it's okay. So the Open is basically, it's like the goal of this season is to find this year's fittest man, woman, teen, master athlete, all this stuff. The only way we can do that is you need to start with a very, very, like if you had like a net, right? You want to cover as many people as possible and give everyone a shot. So it starts with the Open, where anyone can sign up. And then depending on where you live, you're put into a region. And it's 5 weeks long, typically, 4 or 5 weeks. Free. They could surprise us and do 6 weeks. We never really know. It's one workout a week. You can do it as many times as you want. But if you think you're going to regionals, you got to film it, because they may want you to submit it so they can see your reps. If you do it at an affiliate, you do not have to film it unless you think you're going to regionals. And if you want to try, but you don't go to a CrossFit gym, then you just got to film it regardless, and you have to upload it. It has to be in by Monday at like 5, and then it closes and we go on to the next week. They announce it Thursday, you submit it by Monday. Within that time, you can do it as many times as you want. That's about 5 weeks long. At the end of that, you're ranked based on your score and where you live. Going into the next stage of competition is regionals. So based on your region, there's going to be another competition. And these things are very stressful. They take out of your region top 40, I think it's 40 to 45, 40 men, women, teams, out of thousands and thousands of people, okay? It's like they really narrow it down. They really narrow it down quick. And then you go to your regional, and you've got your top 40 fittest people out of that entire region. So for my region this year, because they've decided to combine it again, it's the entire West Coast. Canada West, California.
Oh wow.
Everybody.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Intense.
They really made it really great.
And they take, what is it? Is
5.
it 5 now? Yeah.
5. So then at regionals, they'll take, at the end of the weekend, top 5 men, top 5 women teams. And then you go to the world finals, the CrossFit Games. And this is why I say the regionals are the most important and the most stressful. Because when you get to the CrossFit Games, you have a freaking great time.
But you've won. Like, making it to the games, like, you've literally won. It's funny, like, whenever I attended my first CrossFit Games this past year in Madison, and seeing the CrossFit athletes, like, and then, like, obviously consuming some of the content at the regionals, but then seeing them at the games, it's just, like, the stress levels are just, it's not as much. Like, it's like you've already...
Yeah, you've been there. You're there. You made it. Like, look around and take and soak it up, because it's gonna... It feels like it's going to take forever in the beginning, but it's gone with a blink of an eye. You're in so much pain, but you've worked your ass off to get there. You've made it. And I mean, like, the people that are even making it to regionals are like...
You're sick in the head.
You are so fit, okay? You are so fit. Like, you have to be ridiculously fit just to suck at the CrossFit Games. You have to be so fit. And it's like... I have to remind that to people sometimes when they're looking at, like, you know, athletes as they finish. And it's like, oh, well, this person didn't do that well this year. And it's like, dude, do you understand that, like, people are separated by, like, 1 rep or a second? It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so close. Like, everyone is so fit and everyone's so good that you hope someone messes up and you hope that you don't. Like, that's what you need, you know? And
it's in the perspective of, like...
Unless you're Matt Fraser. I mean, the guy is on another level right now.
Oh, it's unreal.
Incredible.
And it's unbelievable the respect everybody has for each other, because they know how much work everybody has had to put in order to get to that level, which is just mind-boggling to me. So let's move on to... So 2016 happened.
2016, I filmed 2 movies. And I did the open in the
Which
UK.
movies?
Wonder Woman. I was not really in that one. You might as well just not watch that one if you're trying to see me. I was in the Justice League. I filmed that in August of 2016. And I went to regionals. I was injured. I was stressed. I had not prepared the way everyone else had. I was a total head case. And at the end of the weekend when I didn't qualify, I was super sad. And was really broken up about it. And I talked to my coach and I was like, all right, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And then guess what ruined that for me? I read comments online that were very, very mean. I mean, it was, you know, trolls had a whole another level that I didn't realize they had. And it wasn't about me being on steroids or having a dick or whatever. It was like, you're a fluke, you never should have won in 2015, you're washed up, you're never coming back, you know what I mean? And it was all of that. And that hurt me. And I was put in a pretty dark spot. And I shortly after that, dealt with a thing called Impostor Syndrome. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Basically, for some reason, I was believing what everyone was saying, because a lot of that stuff was stuff I may have already been telling myself in my head, but because it was in my own head, I hadn't believed it yet. But now that some people were saying things out loud, even though they weren't true and they were ridiculous, all of a sudden, I was thinking they saw what I must have been hiding all this time, right? So, long story short, you know, I got through that. It took a long time. And I was ready for my comeback in 2017. And I was just ready, man. And was dealing with a lot of pain early December, like an excruciating amount of pain down my arm. Just all of a sudden, just woke up one day, got worse and worse, couldn't really move, really hard to train, let it go. Was going to get an MRI because I was seeing my chiropractor about 4 or 5 times a week. And I was being adjusted about 4 or 5 times a week.
That's not a good sign,
real
guys.
Bad.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like, well, nothing had happened. I literally just woke up at my mom's house one day and was like starting to lock up. And so I let it go, and then was gonna get an MRI, but I saw my Rolfer. Rolfers work with your nervous system, nervous pathway, kind of making sure your tissue is moving and you have space for your nerves to move. And I slept for the first time in like a month and a half after seeing him. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well now I feel better. So no, I'm not going to get an MRI. It's probably just like a sprain or something. Kept going. The day they announced the CrossFit Open last year, We are almost to the 1 year mark. I went and saw my rofer that morning, and I was like, you gotta help me, man. I mean, I couldn't hold my body weight on a pull-up bar. I couldn't hang on anything. I couldn't do rope climbs. I had no grip. I had lost so much strength in my arms, in my hands. I was screwed for the open. And I was, he worked on me. I felt worse. Bad sign. Called the MRI place, drove over, they got me in. That was Thursday. Friday, my chiropractor read my scan, my MRI, and basically started to tell me I needed to think about my quality of life and that I should not compete this year. I basically told him to
you can say it.
To go fuck himself.
Yeah.
I did, and I apologized to him later. I was in full-on denial. I was in like I have trained every day for this. I went through so much after 2016. Like, all I wanted was the comeback. I needed the comeback. I needed it for myself. I needed it for my tribe. I needed it mostly for myself. And now you're telling me that I can't do it. Like, I'm down to the very beginning. This is it. I've waited all year. I've waited from regionals. I went through the CrossFit games, you know, and it's time to start over. I get this chance. I get this another year. And we got me in to see Dr. Ivan Chang. He is the best spine guy at Stanford, and I went and saw him Monday morning. I did the first workout actually that Friday. It didn't go that well. And then I went and saw him Monday morning, and he came in and he worked with all the athletes, with the 49ers, with all the basketball players, and he had taken my MRI to even other doctors to be like, please tell me, like, we can give her somewhat better news, you know, and it was really bad. He basically said, I have no more space for my spinal cord because my herniation was so bad that if for some reason, it could have been like a sneeze, like if for some reason it tried to herniate anymore, I'd basically have severe permanent damage. So you're talking like, you know, paralyzation or dying. I mean, and now it creeps me out to think that I was allowing my chiropractor to pop my neck 5 days a week, you know?
I remember watching this whole thing like happening live. Like, I remember following Brooke through this whole process, and it was just like, gosh, like you could just see the fire. Like, you could see that she really, really wanted this, and then this just happens to happen. But it's just something. It's like, and we all have these moments in our lives that honestly seem like the worst thing that ever could have ever happened to us. Like, they were like this thing that brought us down to earth and taking us off our pedestal. We thought we were recovered from something that might have been the worst. Maybe 2016 not making it was the worst. But then this comes along, and it seems like your whole world is flipped on its head. But like, I saw you, honest to God, like, and we've recently gotten to know each other, but like, I saw you transform as a person.
Yeah, I did.
You're like, when you started this interview and you talked about like why somebody would follow you, I don't think that was 100% true until after this happened.
Yeah, no,
like,
not for sure. For sure, I think I wouldn't have even really known what to tell you other than I thought, you know, they'd probably follow me because I did inspire them, and it was good at my sport, and I was fun and adventurous, and they wanted to get to know me, and I'm a cool person. But now I know why people follow me. At least I think I know, okay? And it's because I've been through a lot of stuff, and I've worked through a lot of stuff, and I'm very vulnerable, and I am genuine, and I share it with you pretty openly because I know that other people go through it too, and that I can help them. You know, maybe I can't help you avoid stuff, but I can definitely help you get through it a lot faster.
Absolutely. And if you guys didn't know, she had surgery after.
Yeah, on March 31st, I had I had a ACDF, spinal fusion, and bone graft of C6 and C7. So I've got a plate and 4 screws in my neck.
Savage.
Yeah.
So, so that meant she was out of. She could not do the 2017 games. She couldn't even compete in the Open, and she took a whole new role. It was like rebuilding from there on. And a lot of times when we get thrown down to this level, we have to really go down deep inside of ourselves and find our deeper meaning.
Yeah.
Like the things that are really, truly important. It slows us down, and to where you did not have this fitness thing really much. You had to reevaluate yourself as an actual person.
Yeah.
And I think it would be cool for you to cover a lot of like what you learned, like from that moment on about yourself.
Well, I think that because of what I went through before that, so because of what I went through in 2016, where like I basically now was measuring my worth based on what people thought of me, and I felt like I had this identity that was the only reason people wanted to follow me is because they liked the way that I look. Then I had to like maintain a specific look, and I had to be lean, and I had to, I was a CrossFit Games athlete. Like I can't not be one anymore, and I had this idea that everybody would unfollow you if you didn't. The only reason people liked me is because of those things, and I didn't really, I had basically put myself into this. I had given myself an identity, or like I had an idea that like this was my label, right? Like I had to be XYZ, or in this world, like what purpose did I have? And from not making it to the CrossFit Games and in 2016, and then dealing with all of the comments and the hate, and literally being so sad that there was nothing I could even do. Like there was nothing you could say to me. There was nothing that could make me feel better, and it's almost like I couldn't even stop feeling shitty. It was like if once I felt like I was like feeling the worst, no, it was so deep that, and it hurt everyone around me. Like my mom, everyone wanted to help me, to console me, and there was nothing that they could do, so it like made them very sad too. And it was just because I had such deep, like I like felt so bad about myself. It was like it was so much deeper than not making to the games. It was so much deeper than what I allowed trolls to say about me. It was like everything was coming to a head. Like everything that I ever thought about myself or insecurities I had, it was all coming up. So everything I had just like ignored and pushed down, it was all there, and I had to face it. I had to deal with it, and it took a long time to get through it, but I did. At least I started to, and I realized that it's always going to be something I'll work with. It's not just going away. And now I just have like been able to develop new ways to not let it bother me, or like when insecurities come in, like be able to realize like I can say it out loud, and then I realize it's not real, and it was really, really crappy, and I was in a really bad spot, and it feels really bad to feel so bad that you feel paralyzed, right? Like you're so insecure, you feel so bad about yourself that you feel like you're paralyzed, and it's very paralyzing, and that's where I was, and I got through that. And I got through that with the help of some really good friends of mine that like the type of person I am, like they just communicate really well with me, and I don't have there's not a lot of people that I can do that with. And it was very hard for me to even say a lot of this out loud. I'm kind of like an introvert that's actually really good at extroverting, and I love performing for people, but I put so much energy into that too that it will like exhaust me, that then everything will happen in here and I don't want to like talk about it. And so when I started,
I'm exactly the same way.
So when I started with a couple people that I really trusted, I started just like trying to explain what was happening up here. That's when it was said to me like, you're dealing with imposter syndrome. Like Google that, and it was, to a T. Like it's this idea that I'm having all this success, but it's like fake and I don't deserve it. And it's not because I worked hard for it. It's just because like people they haven't seen the real me yet, and I was like dealing with a lot of this stuff, and because I was able to work through that, and I was able to see that I have so much more to give, and like people actually follow me because of who I am and not because of what I look like or because I was a games athlete. And then I was able to start coming out of that deep dark hole that I was in. And so the next thing that happened, like the whole CrossFit Games in 2017, like I was just so torn up about it. I was so sad. And the Open is 5 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all anyone's talking about for 5 weeks. And all the guys, everyone in my life, they work at CrossFit HQ. So it's like, I had to deal with that. And I was having these moments where I'd be okay. And then all of a sudden I would just like my emotions are just creeping. And I couldn't stop. I couldn't hold them back. I was just so broken up about it. But because I had dealt with like everything else because of 2016, I was able to get through this so much better. And I was able to like get over like those like roadblocks like quicker, you know. And as soon as I had surgery, my coach told me, he was like, because one of my coaches, Nick Sorrell, is a surgeon, he's a doctor, and he was like, Brooke, as soon as you have surgery, you will feel so much better because now you're on the road, right? Mm-hmm. And so all of that time, like through the entire Open, was like, that's what felt so shitty, because I felt like I'm losing time, I'm falling behind. I couldn't do anything to get better. I had to stop doing everything. Yeah,
you had to wait until that moment to where you can actually rebuild.
Yep, and then as soon as I had surgery, you know, there's a lot of little things that it's kind of funny, but I can tell you, like, I got one moment in particular that like was really important for me. Through rehab and after surgery, I couldn't train for a very long time. So I was really nervous about like gaining weight or like changing. Like my body was going to change. I was going to be softer. I wasn't, you know, and I lost some muscle mass. And I remember we were in Louisiana for one of my coach's wedding, and we were taking photos. And there's a photo of me on my Instagram, and I'm in a bathing suit. And it's so funny because to me, I was soft, and everyone's like, "Oh, if that's you soft, like that's ridiculous." But like, these are still just like personal things I deal with, right? So I thought to myself, like, I just had surgery, and not everyone knows like what I've gone through or like what I just did. And so I was insecure about showing myself at that time to everyone, to my tribe. And I realized, like, there was a moment where I posted a photo, and it was like, that was me saying, this is who I am, this is what I look like, this is what I'm doing. You can love me, you can hate me, you can follow me, you can support me, or you can walk away, and that's fine, because this is me, and I'm going to be this person, and I'm going to show you this person. And if you don't like it because I don't look the way I did, or because I'm not at the CrossFit Games right now, then that's okay. And it was like such a relief for me. Like, that was like a moment where it was like, and before that I wasn't posting stuff to make people happy, but there's still just like insecurities that can weigh on you, like stress on you, right? And so that was a moment where it was like, boom, out, done. And once I posted it, it was like, whew, there you go. We'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens. And what happened is I continued to be a very vulnerable person that will not apologize for being myself. But on that note, I want to continue to be a better person. I want to learn how to do new things. I want to learn, you know, I want to do so much. I never want to miss out on opportunity. I want to hustle. I want to grow my career and my platform and my business so I can matter to all of you for so much longer and way beyond me as an athlete. I'm going to be an athlete. I love athletics. I've been fit my entire life. But fitness is always there, and what I want is to be able to still be someone who can help you well beyond my years of being a competitive athlete. Because it's big, you know, it's like being a competitive athlete, it's like this.
It's legacy, lifelong legacy. And you could tell a shift happened. It was the imposter syndrome. Once you get over that, it's no longer, and trust me, like, you don't actually ever, imposter syndrome is one of those things, like, it can be a blessing and it can be a curse, because if it's a blessing, it's something that challenges you to always be better because you never want to truly be an imposter. But what it can do is give you like a red light to actually give yourself permission to let you know your true value, and your self-talk is actually very negative. So there's give or take, but once you get over that hump and you are more towards past that imposter syndrome, it becomes about you guys rather than us. It's more of, can we be better so we can make you guys better? And that's one thing I've noticed over time. It's just like that imposter, like it's scary. And I believe every single one of us on a daily basis have a moment every single day where we feel like an imposter.
Well, I mean, a big thing about it too is like if you go to like you Google it and you read the definition, is it does affect a lot of women who in the specific age range that are become very like you're a boss, and you're very driven and doing business stuff and that's who it kind of really affects a lot of the time. And it's what was so crazy is like I was having all these feelings and I didn't know how to tell anyone, because when I did think about them or like say them out loud to myself, like it did seem crazy, but I couldn't help but still feel that way, And when I finally started to gain the confidence and the courage to try and verbalize what I was feeling, that's when I was able to start chipping away at this, like these, this this really bad aura that I had, and it was like a sad situation, right? And now and stuff I worked on too, and I read a book. So back in 2016, a book that really helped me. It's called oh my god, what's it called? Okay, Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. I recommend that to everybody.
Any of her content is pretty. She's incredible.
And that book is about vulnerability and shame. And when I first started reading it, it was thinking like, oh, vulnerable, like, oh, I'm so sad and vulnerable and small and meek and you can hurt me and hurt my feelings. It's not that. It's having the courage to be yourself. It's like for me, if I have a training session, it doesn't go very well, I can beat myself up about it. I can feel like, oh, I did so poorly. Oh, I did so crappy. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Well, if I think like that, that's going to affect me for a long time, right? And it's not going to help me at all. I could have the exact same training session, change the way I'm thinking about it into it didn't go great, but I gave my 100% in that mindset and how my body felt. I did what I could and move forward from that. Already, just because I'm working here, I will grow from that experience, and now I can use that experience to be a better athlete, and allowing myself that like I'm gonna have thoughts that are gonna come in, I'm gonna have insecurities that are gonna come in, and learning to think of them as like birds flying over your head and let them pass by, and you don't have instead of letting them there's a quote, it's like letting them build a nest in your head or in your hair, right? Just let them go by. They're thoughts come and go. That doesn't mean that they're real. And something that helps me with stuff like that is saying things out loud. And if you have a thought, say it out loud, and you'll realize how crazy, how crazy it is, and it's not real. And all of this takes practice, and it is something for me that I know that I'm going to work on forever. And I realize through a lot of this process, I've thought oh shit, reading that book, I'm like, oh, there was that time when I was young, or this interaction with this person, and it brought up so many things that it's that's how we're shaped, right? And we are shaped. That is that is a mindset. We are shaped to the point we are today. And you can work with that, but you're going to work with it by recognizing it, for being kind to yourself, and realize that you can grow from it, and you can change, but it's always going to be a constant. It's always going to be something you will always have to do. It's never just, it doesn't just go away. History repeats itself. It's going to come back, but you will get better at dealing with it. You'll be able to get through it faster. You'll be a happier person. You need to love yourself. I've learned I need to make decisions that I feel good about, and I need to do things that I want to do, and I want to be the best person I can be, and I want to be a businesswoman, and I want to see the world, and I want to do all these things, and I do, and there's a lot of other things I want to do, and I want to do them with certain people, and I want to see them with my family and all this stuff, but I learned that I need to be able to love myself and not need so many other people to love me, because I used to need that. And I'm so lucky that I had that at the time that I did, because I wasn't ready to go through it. But I know that things aren't forever, and you don't know how long someone's going to be in your life. You don't know how long you're going to be doing a certain career. You don't know a lot of these things. But as long as you are happy and you love yourself and you are making decisions that you feel really good about, and you're allowing yourself to go after your dreams that you have, and you don't allow other people to sway your thought because of what they think is the right thing, or what they think is important, or what they think is, appropriate, then no matter what happens or what time it happens in your life, like, you'll be okay, and no matter, because that I just think that you don't make decisions based on what everyone else wants, because what happens if one day they're not there? Where are you? You're somewhere that you were okay with because of everyone else, because they wanted you to be there, right? But what if now the time's passed and you said no to certain things because you really wanted to do it, but someone else was like, yeah, no, you shouldn't do it. So then you're like, I guess I won't do it. And now what if they're not in your life anymore, and you're like, oh shit, where am I? Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's where regret comes in.
It's so much regret, and regret is so much worse than, like, maybe hurting someone's feelings. Or, like,
yeah, seriously, we don't...
Getting your feelings hurt. Like, you don't want regrets. We
never,
keep getting older.
Yeah, we never regret the things we didn't... Like, we never regret the things we did. We always regret the things we didn't do. And it's one thing, I think the moral of the story of this interview is being unapologetically yourself. Unapologetically badass. Yes, and that's what Brooke is. So we're gonna we're past the hour mark, which is fine. This has been nothing but value, and as you can see, like, life is about mindset. It's literally perspective. We walk out that door, and if we see the world as a negative place, all we're gonna see is negative. But if we see the world as a positive place and all the experiences we have as a way to grow, rather than things that we're a victim, then our perspective is completely changed. So I want to end with the final question, and you guys listen. You guys know this is the question I love to ask every single time, but we got to set the stage before. So today is Brooke's funeral, and there are thousands upon thousands of people there to not only mourn her death but celebrate her life. And there's somebody on stage about to give her eulogy. She has no idea whether they just followed her on Instagram, whether she's met her 5 times or she's known her whole life. What would that person's eulogy sound like that would encompass the life that you lived? This is a deep question. This is something I ask myself on a daily basis.
Oh my gosh.
No, but it's like, I think it's such a, like, the answers just have blown my mind.
It's okay. Well, this is, like, super hard for me to answer, because, to be completely honest with you, I have a really hard time talking about myself. Like, I've had to really overcome that, especially doing so many podcasts and opening up about things. But, like, it's really easy for me. It's not easy for me to talk about the hardships that I've had, or, like, the moments where I've grown or things I've gone through. It's hard for me to talk about that, but it's also really hard for me to, like, toot my own horn, or, like, but something that my father's always told me, and I think I know it's true because of the way I do affect people and response that I get from people, is he has always told me that I've, like, been a light for him in his life. I know that I am really good at helping other people see how wonderful they are and how wonderful life is. And I make a lot of people happy, and I help them have hope. And it's so funny because, like, a lot of that stuff is really hard for me to do it for myself, and I'm working on that. But I am really good at talking to other people and helping them get through really hard times, and helping them realize how, certain things are not as hard as they may seem like they are. So I would say that the eulogy is going to be something about how I meant a great deal to a lot of people, because I helped them learn to love themselves and enjoy life, and realize that it's never too late. And I hope that my eulogy is also about how I have changed the face of women, for women, and women empowerment, and how beautiful our body is, and how beautiful the human body is, and that you can be, that being feminine is so much more beyond what you look like. And I know that we all say we know this, right? But it just still on a big scale is not where we want it to be. And I really think that I am doing that, and I'm going to continue to do that. And I'm doing it by being myself, laughing and smiling at the trolls, because they lose power when you do that. And I will continue to be a light for a lot of people, men, women, children, and I hope to change a lot of lives and help lots of people find happiness and love for themselves.
Absolutely. So that was awesome. That was really awesome.
That'd be quite the weird long eulogy that goes in and out of like third person also. But you know, you get the gist.
No, that was good. I mean, it just all makes sense, because it's, gosh, like the amount of people, and I mean, Brooke inspires me on a daily basis, and I catch myself watching her story. I don't consume a lot of content, and there are a few people that I actually keep track of what they're doing on a daily basis and what they're posting and what's going on in their lives. And I don't think I've ever had a moment where I've watched Brooke's story or read her post where I didn't leave with a smile on my face, or I didn't feel really good afterwards. And I believe that's what she's about. And her eulogy would sound that way because she's going to help so many people, and she already has. And I know a lot of you have already been following her for a while, and you are nodding your heads like, yes, she's affected me in a positive way as well. So I want to end this podcast with appreciation for Brooke. She's such a giving person, and it's her content is just going to continue to evolve, but it's going to have one theme always, and that's going to be to help you guys to become a better version of yourselves and give yourself that permission to be amazing. So I just want to say thank you so much, Brooke.
And one thing that I will say too, just for you, and something I think about all the time, and I can't remember where I heard this one time, but really it's this, it's if, like, why not you? And I think about that all the time. Like, I think about this person that I think it'd be so cool to be, and the life to have, and like be really cool to be like The Rock. Like I say, I want to be the female version of The Rock, you know, because you think about him, and he's influential, and he's smiling, and he's happy, and he's athletic, and he does fitness, and he takes care of people, and everyone thinks he's great, right? But he has positive aura constantly. And it's like, I think to myself, it's so easy for us to get caught up in thinking like, oh yeah, no, it's not me, you know, like
there's no way
I wasn't born into a family where, like, you know, we don't have money, and, you know, I don't have a famous person in my family, and like, but honestly, but why not you? You know, all these people right now competing at the Olympics, they just went after it. They just kept working, you know, and that's why they're where they are. Yep. And it's not because they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. It's not because someone gave them a leg up. It's not because, and that doesn't mean that some people didn't have help. Lots of people have help. That's true. But think more of, like, be more willing to just go after what you want. Like, just do it. Because you literally have nothing to lose.
Yeah,
like, you have nothing.
So true. And you will live with no regret. And if you guys know about, like, Tony Hawk skateboarded for 15 years, and everybody told him he was a crazy person. And what happened, he became the face of skateboarding, because no matter what anybody told him, he just continued to do what he did.
What he loved.
And he became the best at it, and he started a whole new movement and generation. And I think Brooke's doing the same thing with the female population, and helping them understand to be unapologetically strong, unapologetically a female that is of influence, and you do have power to make a difference in the world, and you are not an imposter whatsoever. So I want to thank Brooke again, and I want to thank each and every one of you for, if you're watching, thank you, and if you're listening, thank you so much. this podcast has been exploding, and when we started this, I never thought this would get to this point, and the feedback has been just mind-boggling to me. So just know that I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I just want to show you guys what is possible, what you guys are possible. I think this podcast is a summary of all the other ones all together, in the sense of like, you are not an imposter. You just need to be unapologetically yourself and give yourself that permission, and then use every single day as an opportunity to move closer towards your goal. No day is a bad day. It's a learning experience and a day to move forward. So I want to thank you guys so much for listening, so much for watching. God bless, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.